Greetings and welcome, everyone. You're in another of the Health, Wisdom, and Wealth Show. I'm VLynn Hawkins. I'm your host, and our guest today is MARIQUITA SOLIS. And I love that because MARIQUITA brings such a wealth of knowledge and compassion and beauty with her to this conversation today. I can't wait for you to meet her. We are going to be talking about the vegan switch, turning the hopeless vegan into the empowered vegan. And if any of you know what it feels like to feel hopeless and go from hopeless to empowered, you're in the right space today, whether it's about veganism or just changing your diet or having better relationships within your family. You are in the right place today. And let me just tell you a little bit about Mariquita. She's a vegan empowerment expert and coach. She helps vegans to let go of hopelessness and be a powerful voice for themselves and for others. She works together to unlock their powerful voice so that they can make an impact on the world and in their lives. And she's best known for finding the positive in any situation and a solution to any challenge. We all attempt to do that, but some of us are better at solutions to challenges than others. And I think that's one of the things that makes it so important that we reach out to others for help. And that's something that many of us have to learn as well. And as a vegan empowerment expert, she is passionate about her role as a healer because she's just been in that space for a while, and her mission today is to be a vision of support and guidance for others on their journey to unlimited potential in all areas of life. So with that said, I'm going to say welcome, Mariquita, and welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, VLynn. I'm excited to be here.
Well, I'm excited you're here too, because you have such a full and colorful background from dealing with relationships and your coaching journey that got you to really focusing on vegans. Take a moment and actually just share with us how you got on this journey and what it is that you're doing and the thing that you love most about what you're doing today.
Well, I always wanted to be a helper. I always felt like I was born to help others. I just didn't know how to help myself for a long time. I really struggle with self-esteem and then big blocks, the belief of I'm not enough, and always being in lack, thinking that the things people said to me as a child, holding them on as truths and not accepting or establishing my own beliefs about myself, but holding on to these limiting beliefs other people had put on me, and swimming through that and trying to navigate to to another world where that there was a different belief, a greater belief that that I'm in this challenge of life or this flow of life, and that I'm perfectly imperfect and that I'm a blessing to this world. So it was through this years and years of I'm not enough and dating men and just sacrificing myself, pretending to be someone I wasn't. And finally just giving up hope after feeling desperate of like losing the perfect guy. It's always the perfect guy, losing the perfect guy. And thinking I can't go on like this anymore. I can't live my life like this. And I just had some aha moments. I was reading through a book and I remember reading and it said, why are you treating yourself the same way that he did? And I thought, oh my gosh, that's so true. Why? He's not even here. And now I'm just beating myself up and belittling myself. I don't even need him here anymore to do that. And I was just like, wow, that was an awakening. And I walked by the TV a few days later and I heard someone saying, you're a child of God and this is your day. And I was like, oh my gosh, what are you talking about? Don't you know I'm a loser? Right? But yeah, so it was Joel Osteen and that positive energy that he has. It was such a, it was such an attractant. So I said, look, I'm going to pick myself up off this place and start changing my life. And so I started working on my self-development, really just immersed in Oprah Soul Sunday and Rob Bell and Eckhart Tolle and all these great minds, really learning about the brain. I started taking coaching with a gentleman here in Atlanta, Dr. Michael Shemeka. And and so I really learned a wealth of knowledge about how the brain functions and how, how we play out our roles in life. And then I just a few years ago, I took Claire Zamet's course in transformative learning and change, her coaching program. And that was just on another level, really tuning into the feminine energy of allowing, not forcing. And that's so important. As a vegan, to allow this natural flow and not to force and not to judge. So it really transformed my life. So it's exciting that I'm able to help vegans step into that feminine energy, which is so graceful and loving and, so compassionate, not a linear energy, like not analytical and not like an engineer, but as something like an artist and magical, right? To see what's going to develop and how you can have that heartfelt connection with someone else to shift beliefs, for the planet, for our health, and for the animals.
Oh, that's beautiful. Yes. And I think that, and we've talked about this, how life is a journey, but there are certain segments of life that are a particular journey that we go through as well. And I love that. It brings such compassion from me because I can relate to walking that journey of finding yourself and acknowledging yourself to be worthy. And Joel Osteen's one of my go-tos as well. Yeah, yeah. Um, and you mentioned the word vegan. We've talked vegan. We've got, the hopeless vegan, the empowered vegan. Let's just start at the beginning with this and tell us what is a vegan?
I think for me, a vegan is someone that's really very compassionate about the world. I mean, they're making choices in their eating and living to benefit the planet. And to me, vegan is, it's equivalent with love, that loving energy, because it's out of love that we're making these choices. So I feel like, and that's living in alignment. Like if you're really living in that alignment with the love of a vegan, then you're going to be happy, right? And you're going to really you'll be shining. People will say, my gosh, why are you so happy? And why are you living in peace? Because veganism is about peace, because your behavior is serving the planet.
Yes, it is. And I know that a lot of people have this preconceived idea that veganism is just about not eating meat. And I know that that is a huge component, but I love all of the other aspects of veganism that you've brought in here, including compassion for the planet and animals and non-humans, right? As well as for ourselves. You can't give what you don't have. And if you don't have compassion for self first, then it is difficult to give it to others. And I love how you express that. So it's funny, I think about too, this whole vegan space. And one of the things for me was I would shy away from connecting to being a vegan, even though I was, whole food plant-based. The connection to veganism wasn't quite there for me because I had not seen this aspect of veganism. Um, and I, our friend, Dr. Akil Teher, introduced me to the concept of junk food vegan. And I thought, okay, that's a head scratcher when you don't really know. But then you can think, okay, so beer and potato chips are, in that vegan space, but, where's the compassion in it? Where's the love in it? Because if that's what you're totally consuming, you're not giving yourself that compassion and love. And, you know, tell our audience what that is and how it plays out in the possibilities of seeing angry or sad or lonely and hurt vegans. How do you think that connects in there?
Well, I think you're exactly right. You know, that loving yourself where you're really feeding your body what it needs, right? And when you're giving your body that nourishment, if we're eating a bunch of junk food, which I'm an expert at that. I'm not going to lie, right? I'm sure we've all done that, and when I do that, I just don't, I feel weighed down, right? And when I make a choice to eat, a lot of beans, I made a great, beautiful vegetable soup the other day, and then I made a bunch of chickpea salad. And when I'm eating that, I feel good about myself because I am living in alignment with self-love. And that love is about the vegan again. And it's about just being aware of your body and feeling your heart. And how do you feel when you eat something afterwards? Because I know that I was listening to someone and she was talking about that guilt about eating, right? And we know in our hearts, and we feel it right after we've eaten a meal, do we feel good about ourselves? And I mean, if let's just say we ate something that made us feel bad, and we feel like, oh, now I just ate some junk and I might have a heart attack, and go into this little narrative. Just be compassionate with yourself and loving, because through love is how you'll get out of these behaviors, right? The more you love yourself, the more you're going to reach for that apple or those chickpeas or the lentils, and that's mindfulness, knowing what your body needs, and just giving the blessing of really nourishment at your meal, right? I mean, because you're not getting much nourishment from potato chips, right? So
Right.
seeing every meal as a just really honoring the meal and really living mindfully, what am I going to feed my body? And the better I can feed myself, the more it's going to help the planet, because most likely the longer I'm going to live, and I need to be an advocate for this planet as long as I can be.
Beautifully said. Yes, yes. And that's a great segue to my next question about this vegan switch. The switch can be a mindset, it can be in the habits and behaviors that you talked about, and hope to helping vegans become more empowered to live their best lives. What's the number one thing that we can focus on to turn the wheel towards this needed shift?
Well, to know that we are not alone, that we are in this community of life, right? That life is supporting us. I mean, we don't have to get up and beg the sun to come out. We don't have to pray for rain, right? This universe loves us so much that she's working for us, and to get up and give thanks, and to so many times we're like feeling so isolated. But if we walk outside and see those trees that are full of life, and they're strong and powerful, and connect with them and just say thank you to the trees and hug them, be a tree hugger, right? And then we step away from that isolation, which is just devastating to us. It really causes, we're not meant to be isolated. We're meant to live together. I mean, I help you and you help me, it's a reciprocal process of life. So that's what I really want. One of the big things is the universe is here loving you and supporting you every moment of the day. She thinks you're beautiful just as you are. You don't have to do anything and to deserve these gifts. She's given them already. You're perfectly imperfect on the road and on the lessons of life, and if you make a mistake, that's normal, and you're beautiful as you are.
Oh, that's beautiful. So, Mariquita, tell us, what is one of the things that you do for yourself that really honors you as the individual, especially as, you're one of the people that others come to when they need help. And, how do you take care of yourself, knowing that you want to be strong and healthy so that you can keep helping others?
Well, first of all, I realize exactly what I just said, that I'm perfectly imperfect. So I don't spend hours beating myself up. If I make a mistake, I say, okay, I made a mistake. What was it? How did it? I look at it, what caused that? Maybe I was tired. Maybe I went and grabbed some junk food because of that, for example, right? And how can I better myself? Right? How can I make sure that I'm scheduling some downtime, maybe for some meditation or just doing some dancing or going walking with my dog, right? To make sure that I'm not overextending myself. So taking care of self first and being gentle, 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 and knowing that, you know what, it's okay to make a mistake and I still love myself and I'm not going to just sabotage myself by, like I used to, sitting and basting in just anger and self-hatred. Now I base
Indeed.
myself in love and forgiveness.
That's great, because the anger that we express towards ourselves many times, most times, also gets expressed outwards, and we take it out on others. And, that brings me to my question about values. How do your values play into the kind of coaching that you do? Do you coach people in understanding their personal values? How do values play into the work that you do?
Well, when we really live in alignment with our values, that's when we can live in peace, right? It's just like when we're fighting the different values, like we might love our family. And then I see a lot of people who are like, I'm so sad and angry that I've got to break ties with them, because they're eating meat. And so something's not in alignment. I still want to love. And I mean, and we're really wired for love. So, and then if really family is a big important belief, I mean, it's a real something that you value, and then you're cutting off your family, that's not living in alignment. So really getting to the heart of it, how to look at people with compassion and love. If love is so important and it's such a strong value, then how does this relate to love, right? And so getting in alignment with those values is crucial to feel how your body is responding. Does it feel good if you're telling your family, I can't see you anymore? What does it feel like in the pit of your stomach? Are you feeling joyful about that? Are you feeling peaceful about that? Right? But our bodies tell us what we want to know. So really listening, and they will give the answers to what is important, what the values are, if we take time to sit in the quiet and honor ourselves.
That is so true. And the meditation process, just the quiet and breathing. Do you work with your clients in a particular way that helps them to not just become aware of this, but giving them tools to start in this process? And if so, what do you do with them?
Well, I let them tell me what works for them, right? So, and what has been successful in the past, when they've had an issue like this in the past, what helped them get out of it, or who is it that they can turn to? I'll ask the questions. I don't know the answers. They hold the answers in their heart. So through the conversation of gentleness and love and discovery, and not needing to know the answers right now, we don't need to know. It's not like that. We're going to open up to watching maybe this week for what is going to be revealed, right? And how can we go out there and put ourselves in the areas where the answers might develop. So,
And even in those answers, do they reveal, or do you help them to become more conscious around the types of vegan foods that they're eating that may not be healthy for them, that kind of get them in this cycle of spiraling downward?
well, definitely, yeah. If they're feeling depressed, I mean, that's part of it, because eating the healthier food is going to support your brain, and the nuts and the vegetables and the fruits and all of that is for the brain. So seeing, how is this all playing into this? I mean, this whole body, right? It's so powerful. And are we healing or hurting our body with every bite? And how can we do better for ourselves? So just exploring that again in the gentleness of it. How can we do better this week? Maybe just one or two meals, baby steps till we get there. And how's that playing into your life? How are you celebrating? that wonderful meal you just had. You know, a lot of times we're great at beating ourselves up, but we're not celebrating when we do eat well and when we do live well. We just overlook it, but we deserve the celebration also.
We do. We do. So tell us, share a story with us of one of your clients or um, who've actually gone this journey. They came to you with this particular problem and, you know, what the end result was coming to understand some of this additional information. Because, you know, when you think of vegans, you think of people who already know about eating right and, you know, taking care of themselves, but that's not really the case, is it?
Not necessarily, no. No, it's not. Well, I've worked with vegans that have had issues with families and really anger towards them and not wanting to go to the holiday meals. So what we've worked on, you know, like first one young lady, what we worked on was taking the beautiful healthy meal and presenting it and not getting angry because there weren't many choices, but taking it upon ourselves to know that this is our great chance to spread a healthy, really tasty, beautiful meal to your family that hasn't been exposed to this without any judgment, but giving it as love and no expectations, right? Nobody has to change overnight. Nobody, and if they don't even want to hear it, that's fine. Just put it down and know that you've brought something so nourishing, so something full of health, and to walk away and celebrate it. And that's what she did. And so instead of being angry at the family because, oh, they don't understand or they're never going to change, right? That's the old mindset and it's a fixed mindset. It's not growth, no growth there. But she was able to grow in, you know, be in the growth mindset of let's see what happens when I do have different behaviors that are spreading good health. And I'm here an example of good health for maybe someone down the road. I told her, you never know who's down the road that's going to come to you and say, I see the way you're eating. Can you help me? Because my dad has he's been diagnosed with heart disease. And I know that you are an example of how to eat, you know, something that's supporting your body. So she's ready. I said, get ready, you know, get the fire extinguisher ready before the fire. So get ready to have that conversation to support. And so that gives her joy. We really celebrated that joy of the readiness to be that example of good eating with love and compassion and just plant the seeds.
Oh, that's beautiful. And I think that that too is very important for us as we're moving on this journey, because one of the things is we haven't learned how to approach people or respond to people. You know, one of the things that I did, and I had to be coached on this, was Thanksgiving dinner. You know, you go and there's the turkey and the ham and the this and the that and all the sugar and the you know, all of the things that at that point caused my body to just go bonkers. And I was like, okay, so if I want to go and I want to eat, I better take what I'm going to eat, but I'm going to take enough so that I can share. And I was the one always bringing the giant salad. And if my plate was full of salad, then it was full of salad. And I would eat the greens, even though they might have cooked it with, you know, whatever. It was greens. And I thought, okay, I can at least do that and start with the example. And one of the things that a vegan health nutritionist told me was um, just as you said, be gentle with yourself, because I could have come home and said, ate those greens and you know how they cook those greens and she was like, you know, and allow yourself some grace to be in the space. And tomorrow is a new day. You get back on your vegan journey, your whole food plant-based journey, and all is good. One day, one meal is not going to do any damage. And I think that that is so key because that's not what we learn initially, right? Even with the vegetables growing up, it was the greens on your plate. better eat them. I don't care if they don't taste good versus, oh, they're great. You're going to love how they taste from the beginning. So you can see that. And so do you have people at all who are like vegans from birth, or just, something has happened and they've made that switch, but then they're in this challenging space? Tell us a little bit about how it is that you've seen most of the vegans that you've worked with.
Most of the vegans that I've worked with are really frustrated and sad, um, just depressed at night. They don't know how they're going to go on. I mean, just sad about all the clothes that they bought in the past and don't know what to do with them. And I love what you just said. It's great that you had what a great influence you had with that coach or the teacher, knowing that it's not the end of the world. I have clothes probably in my closet that have leather, right? And so I'm not going to throw those things away because an animal gave their life for that. I'm going to use them. I'm not going to buy any more leather, and I'm not going to beat myself up for it. I'm going to realize I'm a human. I didn't know. Now I know I'm making a different choice. So that's what a lot of my clients are coming through with, all this guilt and all this shame, right? And then we work on that. And what's the reality? What's the greater story is that society just bombards us with these beliefs that we have to eat meat. And so to see ourselves as victims instead of some evil person that was eating meat and doing all this horrible stuff, but to have compassion for ourselves. We were misled into thinking that we couldn't live without meat. And that's all right. I mean, and even if we're vegetarian and then, we messed up, or you want to say messed up, I shouldn't even say that, but we might say messed up and ate like a hamburger. That's part of life. That's part of change, right? To know that that's natural. These are natural behaviors in the human experience. No one is perfect, and we just do the best we can. And so that's what I work with my clients, to start having the compassion that they have for the animals, bringing that compassion in for themselves. And they have a great amount of compassion for the animals. So once they shift it to themselves, they're able to take themselves out of that prison of shame and anguish and desperation, because they give themselves that same gentleness that they do animals. And that's where the shift happens. And other people, they're able to take that compassion and give it to others, the meat eaters and other people that can't see, because then they are able to see, I understand that these are not horrible people. Again, these are people that have been listening to what society has been saying year after year after year. And this is a big programming. It's not something easy. We're asking people to shift their whole lifestyle, and to know that a lot of people just can't do that overnight. It's little experiences that build up, and to be aware of that. And so many, like Earthling Ed and a lot of these powerful influencers will say the same thing. Just plant the seed. Don't expect anything. Don't go in there thinking it's us against them, right? And no expectations, no agenda. Just be an experience, a vegan experience of love that they can remember, right? We don't want them thinking, look at that awful, angry vegan. That's the last thing. Who's going to want to be a vegan if they see us over in the corner, depressed and crying? And I sure as heck wouldn't want to be a vegan if I saw people like that.
Mm-hmm. And the degree of overweight, and veganism is a lifestyle, and I believe that it encompasses also exercise. And you mentioned that taking a walk with your dog, and it's not just walking the dog, it's taking the walk, and it's really being out there and recognizing nature. And where is it, it's a little personal here, where is it that you like to walk? Is it your neighborhood, a local park, or where do you like to walk and be in nature?
Well, I really like to walk in the mountains. So I like to walk also by the Chattahoochee River a lot. I lived in Albuquerque for a while, and I was working at that time in the afternoon. So every morning we would go walk up in the Sandia Mountains. I had 5 dogs. All the dogs and I would go up there. And it was so quiet and peaceful. And Albuquerque we'd go up on the little top and we could see out all over the city because everything's flat there. I just have such great memories. And I think about that sometimes in meditations when they say, go back to that wonderful spot. And I see myself up with my 5 dogs who are all up, they're all spirits now, but I see them with me and connecting on that mountain in Albuquerque, which was beautiful. I love being out there. I love hugging the trees, and I'm so thankful for them. When I'm driving around sometimes feeling sad, I look up and I say, thank you, trees, because I see them blowing in the wind, and I wave to them back. And I think, okay, there's no time to be depressed here. I'm shifting. I'm shifting out of it because there's too much love in the air. And why am I not seeing that?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That is so beautiful. And I know that you have been in the space of doing some coaching for behavioral issues, substance abuse, relationship issues. Tell us a little bit about that and how long, first of all, how long have you been a vegan?
Well, I was vegetarian in 95, and I don't even remember really when I became a vegan. It was when it was a long time ago. And then there was a little break where I kind of fell back to vegetarian for a little bit, but then back to vegan, all right, for years. I mean, at least 8 years. I don't even know when, but it was when I watched what was it called? The documentary about the farm, that sweet, gentle farm. It wasn't the gentle farm, but it was peaceful. I don't remember what it was called. It was a peaceful something, and it was about the sanctuary with the animals, and it was so beautiful. And it wasn't too harsh, thank goodness, because I was really traumatized by seeing meat your meat. That really traumatized me, and I don't watch that anymore. So yeah, anyway, I've forgotten what the whole question was.
Well, yeah, the first part, the question was, how long have you been a vegan? And the second part was about the people that you've worked with behavioral issues and, substance abuse and what have you. How have you been able to influence veganism with those clients that you've had?
Well, we look at all the behaviors in their lives, right? I mean, what are these big blocks and how are they living in alignment with their life, right? We want to line everything up as much as we can to live in alignment with their values, like you were talking about, right? And to see what serves them the best, because we all have these blocks. Maybe I'm not enough. I mean, if I'm working specifically with vegans, then that's what it is. But with other people, I was working with different areas and they weren't vegan, but they still of course had blocks of like a lot of women in relationships that all men, there aren't any good men out there. That would be the big block, right? And how do you create a relationship if there are no good men out there? You can't. That's the foundation. We have to have a foundation that's going to support what we're trying to get, right? Or what our goal is. So yes, and then, with the vegans, again, it's the foundation can't be all meat eaters are bad, and then I'm going to live in peace. It doesn't work like that. It's about getting in alignment with what's important, right? If animals are important in your life, how can you live more in alignment with that? If the planet is important in your life, what can you do to up your contribution to the planet? Right. And then these are ways by the foods we eat. Everything we're choosing makes a huge difference. So that's also a shift to bring into mind with my clients.
Nice. Yeah. Um, I think with the way that we are learning more about mental health issues, we're understanding that, the food that we eat can contribute to mental health issues and the brain dysfunction. And, and having a heart of compassion, eating the right foods. What are some of the other things, you know, compassion towards self and others, eat right. What are some of the other things that you bring into this, sleep matter?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yes. I mean, what is inspiring you? Like, what is it that is really lighting what's your passion in life? We got to know what that is. Like, tune into your heart. What makes your heart sing? So many of us have just put that on the back burner. We're not even having any fun. Right? Is it when you're out there in nature? I mean, if you're not connecting with nature, go give it a try and see what happens, right? And don't quit on the first try. There are many elements out there, like hiking, camping, or whatever you want to do. Go explore this greater area and see how you can connect, because it's so grounding and it's so important for our hearts and our brains. I mean, we're really thriving when we get back into this universe. That's their natural way of being. And then what you're saying is so true about eating the right foods for brain health, right? For stamina, for Alzheimer's, and exercise, like to support our memory. When we're moving, and our brain is continually, I mean, it's still going as we're passing away. Our brain is still wanting to support us, always working for us. When we get up in the morning, our brain, if we say, I'm going to have a great day, our brain starts to try to create that. And so how do we help our brain? By eating the healthy foods this is all living in alignment, again, supporting yourself. I mean, how can you do better? And I mean, just think about that. If you've supported yourself all day long with these amazing foods, and you've gone out there and connected with nature, and maybe you've danced some, maybe you play with your dog or your cat, and you had some good conversations with friends, and you're feeling like you really loved yourself. Why? I mean, how in the world are you not going to sleep in peace? Now, this is the foundation for sleeping in peace, which is so important, right? And if you're not sleeping in peace, what is it that you're lacking in your life that's keeping you from sleeping in peace? And how can we support you to get, to move forward from that area, right? So where we can sleep in peace, what do we need to do? What are the behaviors that need to happen to bring peace into your life so you can sleep like a baby?
We all want to do that. Now, I know that you are pretty involved in the animal space. Let's talk animals for a moment. And I understand that you're a part of an animal ministry. Tell us a little bit about that.
So I'm the leader of the animal ministry at my church at Unity North. And I love Unity North because they're very open to, like, Dr. Joe Dispenza, Bruce Lipton, right? They're really into saying you create your own destiny, right? We are the creators. We are not victims. and that we really live in this universe. I mean, connectedness with everything. And so it's beautiful. They have all sorts of ministries, and it's a blessing that they have an animal ministry, and that I was just I was asked, it just fell into my lap. Would you like to be the leader? And I was expecting a call like, oh, I just joined the church and I was signing up to volunteer. And I thought, oh, great. They're going to ask me to volunteer for the animal ministry, right? Because I had signed up, and no, they said, would you lead it? And I was like, oh my gosh. Well, yes, this is just like amazing. So it's my goal to to kind of educate in a loving way about all animals, not just the so-called pets, dogs and cats, but all animals, to connect with them. So really what I do is post a lot on my Facebook page, a lot on the Praying Paws, which is our group, about all animals, sheep, lamb, right, deer, everything, all, and to try to get them to see that connection, and not to say that don't eat pigs because of this, but to post a video about a pig, right? And when we have our services, which we have every other month, I lead with a meditation connecting to all living beings and acknowledging their right to peacefulness and love, because it's so true. And I'm blessed to be in the spotlight, so I can speak up for all animals. And my church knows that when we had the burning bowl service at the end of the year, which was like burn the things we didn't want in our lives, letting go. And then we had the white stone. And so I got my white stone and they said, what does it represent? And I said, it represents my voice for all animals. So my church knows that. And, you know, the Reverend Richard's always like, yeah, for the snakes too. And I'm like, yep, for the snakes too. You're right. So they know that about me, and I'm just thrilled that I can do what that I'm in this position to be an advocate for animals in a gentle, loving way, you know, connecting their hearts to all living beings.
Oh my gosh, that's beautiful. Wow. And Praying Paws is the program
That's the
under the
Facebook
ministry.
group.
Okay.
Right. And so anyone can join that. And I'm always posting and I'm welcoming other posts. And we have a service every other month. And we usually have it outside in the labyrinth here at Unity North. And people bring their pets. Like I had we just had it a couple last Sunday where we had Georgia Spot Society. They brought their dogs that were up for adoption. They told us about their program. And I'm looking to have Chattahoochee Nature Center come and talk to us about the program, about, again, these are other animals. They still, I mean, these are living beings. So introducing that. And so, yeah, it's great to bring in all kinds of animals and to let the people that know them share how these animals have hearts and feelings too. So yeah, it's wonderful to put these programs together. So if you know anyone that wants to come
Yeah.
and
I'm
be a
raising
piece,
my hand. I would
right?
love to come and experience that. And I
Yeah,
think, you know, even as we're talking about it, I think, and you mentioned it a little earlier about exploring. I really do agree that it's important to explore these aspects of life and what's coming in that we're in alignment with, or we know that we're out of alignment with, and we can, you know, explore ways to get back into alignment. I think that the work that you're doing there is so amazing. I applaud and celebrate you because that's a difficult place to be in too. Well, how do you handle when someone has their own viewpoints and thinks that, you know, veganism is a cult? What's your response to something like that?
well, I mean, I think, I mean, I try to get to them what they're saying, right? Okay. So I think that cults are very, I mean, people really are connected. So yeah, you could say that. Yeah, there's a connectedness about it, right? But I don't think veganism is a cult in the bad ways of, you know, in the ways that are negative and hurting. I think that it's a great connectedness of people, which I would not define as a cult. Um, and I get a lot of kickback, a lot of people that are angry vegans that they say it. I mean, I don't want to use that, but those are their words to define themselves, that do get angry at me for what I'm saying, because they don't want to hear, um, that to be kind to non-vegans. They don't want to hear that we've got to respect all people, because they say they don't deserve respect. Look how they're doing. Look what they're doing. So I have to really have a good community of people that I check in with every day. If not, I would be feeling depressed and angry at those people. But what I realize is also that they are on their own journey too. And just like the people get angry, like, why don't they understand? Right? Why don't meat eaters understand? And then the vegans are saying that's what they're saying. And the meat eaters are saying, well, why don't you understand? And everybody's saying, why don't we understand and nobody's listening, right? And trying to understand the other person, where they're coming from.
Yeah.
So, and that's the fixed mindset, right? It's a fixed mindset. If we're in a growth mindset, we're listening and wanting to learn from other people. That's when we change things, when we're making a heartfelt connection with someone else. Because I know that, Dr. Angela Crawford, and she was a guest on my live stream. And one of the main things she said that stuck out with me so much was that when your brain is in like fear, when you feel attacked, right? It shuts down. There's, when you feel cornered, right? Then you can't, there's no change. No change is going to happen at that point when you're feeling fear, right? When someone's coming to you and they're attacking you in the grocery store line. I know that this was an example that I heard going through the grocery store line. The cashier said, how has your day been? Well, it's horrible because I just saw those dead animals on the shelves. Okay. So you just caused her to feel shame or, fear. And right then it's all, anything that you want to accomplish has been sabotaged and counterproductive. So fear shuts down growth. So we've got to have a safe place of conversation through love.
Oh, I totally agree. And that was a great example too of how that inner turmoil and guilt and shame manifests on the outer. And wow. So, Mariquita, I want people to know that they can reach you. We've got your LinkedIn link down below the video. And, I've really conscious of this conversation in looking at the fact that there are vegans in this space of hopelessness and in need of compassion and understanding as they're moving on this journey towards empowerment. And when you can see, I think you said it earlier too, that we're so much more alike than we are different. And there's so many of us on this same journey. We don't even have to call it vegans on this journey. We're just people on this journey. And having that kind of compassionate heart and conversation and actions towards others will help to promote a healthier world. And it does, it starts here with us and that alignment that you talked about. And, I'm looking at all that we've talked about, and it's time to bring our show to a close. I just want to ask you, what is some advice, some wisdom that you'd like to impart to our audience today, to something that's going to have an impact on them, to raise awareness and open their hearts and help them to move in a more compassionate and conscious way forward?
Well, I think getting up in the morning and really celebrating you, the fact that, that you are so beautiful and a gift to this earth, just taking a moment to sit in the quiet and give yourself that love and make up and to be mindful and say, I'm going to allow people to live in that same respect that I'm giving myself, right? Allowing them to be who they are and allowing me to be on this growth pathway of life. And I celebrate myself, right? Starting off the day by that, celebrating yourself with self-respect and and mindfully giving it to the world and say, I'm going to just go be in this process of discovery. And at the end of the day, I'm coming home for another celebration of all the good things that happened to me today.
Oh, that's beautiful. And something that we just don't do enough of, and that's that self celebration. We talk about self care. We need to add that to it, self celebration. Yeah, yeah. Well, thank you, Mariquita, for being with us today. To our audience, again, you'll be able to find Mariquita's information below this video and share this video. Share the interview with others, especially if you know any of these vegans who might need this kind of upliftment and empowerment themselves. And join us again next week for another amazing show. And with all of the exciting things that we have coming up, we're hoping that you have an exciting rest of your week. And turn on your notifications so that you can see when we've got another show posted. And again, do us and yourself the favor of sharing this information, getting the message out to let people know you care, we care about our health, wisdom, and wealth. Thank you for joining us today. Thank you, Mariquita.
Thank you, everybody. Thanks, VLynn.
And everyone, remember, until next time, be well, live, love, and make a bigger positive impact in your world. And we'll see you next time. Bye for now.